Hi everyone, today I'd like to build a refining system in this RPG, and I'd like to be able to add a Blacksmith NPC so that we can talk to them and they can provide various dialogue options to refine your items. Let's see how far we can go with that concept. So I've got a bunch of NPCs that currently do nothing because they haven't got any functionality to them. Let's see if we can turn this NPC into a blacksmith. Who's she? Failed to load diagraph. Okay, I need to figure out what the ID is of this NPC, and then we can go from there. Also, I probably don't need to load the entire game. We probably can do just with the tutorial. Actually, now just use the development map. I need to find, where's my data? So data is inside the data package, and there's a class called, or a file called NPCs. I don't think it's Rosie. Jules, possibly Jules. Let's have a look. Texture, characters, yep, NPCs, Jules. Yeah, that's the person. So we're going to turn that person into a blacksmith. Right, we don't have the dialogue data. So we're going to create a new dialogue. Jules Jason. Yeah, let's take one of these. Yeah, that'll do. So let's copy this dialogue into Jules and then open it within the dialogue editor. I think what I want is a few options to select which equipment item I'd like to refine. Open, what do I want to open? Zephyria. Dialogues, Jules. Yeah, get rid of that, get rid of that. Okay, so we have something to work with. Start is going to be a simple hello. I am a blacksmith, and I can refine your items, your equipment items, I guess, because not everything can be refined. And we need a bunch of things. So we talk, and then the NPC will basically ask, which item would you like to refine? I think it's going to be a choice. Yeah. Which item of equipment would you like me to refine? And then the first option is basically none. None at the moment. Thank you. That will lead to the end. So this leads here, and that leads there. And the end is no worries, feel free to come back later. So that's one end of the dialogue. The other, none at the moment. And then all of these choices are going to be based on what equipment is being held by the character. Right, let's see what we got in terms of inventory. Right, we got a bunch of stuff that can equip. Lots of knives. And then some armor. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different slots. And I think there should be a single dialogue option for each of those slots, because we can then refine items separately. So let's focus on the simplest implementation. That would be just one thing, which is, let's go for a weapon. I've got a knife here that I can equip. Let's go for this one, for example. And then I talk to the NPC. I need to spawn the NPC first. So she's somewhere there. I can talk to her. And then I equip this thing. And if a weapon is equipped, because if there is nothing equipped in that slot, then we can't refine it. So there should be a condition in this choice, which basically says something like, is weapon equipped? Is weapon equipped? Something like that. Now, I don't actually remember what the syntax is for these things. I know these are going to be called somehow into the game code, because that's how powerful this dialogue system is. It can actually call custom code. So we'll try that. Is weapon equipped? We don't need this option for now until I figure out what this actually does. And then refine weapon, please. And then what we could do is potentially even have something like a variable name there, which would be the name of the thing that you have equipped. Now that would be pretty cool. So something like weapon name here. For now, I'm going to just leave this as that without the variable one. So it's going to be just a literal piece of text. And then I need to figure out how this is going to be called into our game code. So I've saved this, which means I can try running it. And then this will end up into a different end node. All refined. See you later. I know. We can fix the dialogue later. For now, I just want to test something. Okay, this is all good. Saved. Now let's add the NPC. So I need to go to map. Yeah, go to map and then actually just spawn the NPC here. So how do I spawn the NPC? Gameplay, spawn NPC, there we go. ID, I need the ID, cell X, cell Y. NPCs. Nope, it's data, NPCs, jewels. Description, ID. And then I'm going to spawn jewels at 10:6. So it'll be 2 cells to the right from where the character is spawned. Cool. So the dialogue is now there, so I can try and talk. Nice, so the dialogue works. Hello, yeah, which item of equipment would you like me to refine? So currently there's just one option, which is this one. The second one is probably calling something. There we go, a warning. Unrecognized command is weapon equipped with zero arguments. Boolean function did not return a boolean. Nice. So this is actually, so I can close this. I just need to implement this is weapon equipped. That's pretty cool. I can type a function name into this condition, a function that returns a boolean, and that is going to call game code of the running game to figure out what the result actually is. And you can dynamically add more options which are based on conditions. For example, certain conditions are not going to be met when you're talking to the NPC for the first time. And if they've got something like bring me 10 items of something, and then when you come back, there will be a new option which would check if you actually have those items. Theoretically, it worked, and I implemented it that way. So it seems to work in practice as well, which is very nice. So command handler, which is here. Okay, so it's doing all of this stuff. Where do I actually implement my function? Gameplay. So it seems like it's going to go into here, which then calls gameplay. Oh, I see. Right. So when you use a dialog and its functions, like this is a function that originates from the dialog, you just pass in a function called handler, and then it comes back here. So whatever code that you write here is going to be then called, and then you can, within your custom code, without touching anything related to FXGL, you can figure out what you want to do with that code or that function call. And so any function from here is something that I can call from within the dialog. That is awesome. I forgot how cool this is actually. So I'm going to try and add a function called is weapon equipped, which returns a boolean. And it returns true for now. Just want to see whether this is going to work. Nice. So it's calling the function from gameplay. It returns true, which is why this thing is now selectable. Refine weapon name, all refined, see you later. Done, sorted. So all I need to do is just implement this little function, which is going to take player, which I have reference to, good. Character component, or is it something else? Player component, maybe? Weapon get is, okay, there's a function called is free. Let's try that. Is free equip place right hand. Let's do right hand because the first weapon goes to the right hand. I know that player component is attached to the player, so I can just do this. So it's the opposite, right? Because if it's free, it's not equipped. So I need to flip the boolean, and I can try running this. I should probably rename this to is player weapon equipped or something like that, because this is the gameplay object is for everything, so I don't want to have any weird misunderstandings later on. So is player weapon equipped now is the function that we call. Save this and then rerun and then see what happens. So my weapon, right hand weapon is not equipped, so the dialogue option should not be present. Yep, good. Now I'm going to equip it, and the dialogue option should now be present. Perfect. All I need to do now is figure out how to refine the weapon. So it goes here, right? So refine, I'm going to replace this later. Something like this to do. Okay, so how does the refinement actually work? What do I want to be able to do? In most games, you need to have the weapon, which is something that we've just implemented, we have it. And you need to have some materials. Let's see what kind of miscellaneous items we've got. Data, miscellaneous. Not much. I still need to implement quite a bunch of stuff. I'm looking at these ingots. Wonder if, yeah, even the description says it can be used in a refining process, so let's do that. I guess silver first. How many refine levels do we have for items? Weapon. It's an equipment item, refine level. Is there a refine function? Great. So it seems max refine level is 5. I'm going to extract this. Where's my config? Max, yep, that looks good. Max refine, max item refine level is 5. So it's going to check the chance of refinement. It can actually fail, so this will return false. Okay. Yep, that sounds okay. So we're going to use up the material to get a chance to refine. The blacksmith can fail to refine. You lose the material because it gets consumed before the check. But at least you don't use the you don't lose the item, which is actually a thing in some games. You might lose the item, or at least you can kind of drop the refinement level. Right. Yeah, I'm just worried that this file is going to become too big if I'm going to store all dialogue functions here. So I might need to figure out a way to isolate dialogue options, to dialogue functions to somewhere. To do dialogue driven functions below. Consider extracting and refactoring. Okay, now that this is done, we can go ahead and implement some stuff. Refine weapon. Does it need a weapon itself? For now, let's again implement the simplest thing, which is just hard code this. So refine right hand weapon. And then we'll figure out the actual code later. Now this can fail, right? As in it can return true or false depending on whether we succeeded in refining. So it's player component. Get right weapon, and we want to refine. So this is the function to call. Technically it's a branch though, because if true we tell the player something, if failed we tell the player something else. Let's call the function here. That leads to this branch, and then if true we're going to say all refined, and then if false we need another end node. Sorry, refinement failed. And then I also need to be able to actually track the refinement level. Oh, I also need to consume materials. Right. Okay, this is going to get a little bit more complicated, because not only this, but we actually need to have the right type of material, which means we need to query that from the game if the player has the right material and the right amount of material. Yeah, let's do another branch. So check can refine right. This is too long. Check can refine. For now, this will do. And then here I need to consume material. Check and refine should return 1 billion, which means we need to check if player return player inventory. I need to have a function in the inventory that says has item or something. To do at inventory API has item. For now I can just do something like this, items property, and that's going to return stacks, which is fine. I can just map that to user item, which is the actual item, domain specific, this game specific item. So what am I checking? For now, I'll just use a hard-coded silver ingot, which can I do something with it? Like user item description, there we go, description and ID. Player component has, yeah, it seems like player component would be a good place, right, to check, because there are functions related to like equip, unequip, and so on, is free. So maybe an inventory is in this class, is it? Okay, who's got the inventory? Character entity. Character component is the thing that has the inventory. Character component. Ooh, that's a lot of stuff. I need to refactor some of this stuff because I've been developing it for quite a while, so I can no longer remember where things are. Yeah, I mean, there's use item, so let's go with has item. And then we're literally going to pass in we don't pass in the item, we just need the item data to grab. Is that right? Or do we just pass in? It depends, like item data, is it used anywhere? Item data, so usable, where's usable stuff? Usable item data extends from item data. Good. What about miscellaneous? Miscellaneous also. What about weapon? Weapon is equipment item. Equipment item does not have anything related to item data, so I can't use. But I can use IDs. Yeah, ID is probably the best thing here. Int parameter ID is item ID. That kind of states the obvious, right? Because yeah, that's fine, I'll just leave it. It returns a Boolean. So we need to go to the inventory. We need to check this thing needs to go there so that I can then implement inventory API at the engine level rather than at the game level, because the inventory API comes from FXGL itself. And on top of it, I'm adding some stuff here. And it would be nice to have it at the engine level so that everyone can use inventory API the way that I'm currently using. Items property map, user item, description, ID. So this is going to return a bunch of IDs. I just need to check if ID is in this list. If it is, then it is present in the player's inventory. Good. So all that just goes. Turn player character component has item, and the item ID is data, miscellaneous items, silver ingot, description, ID. That looks a bit long, but what I like about it is the fact that ID helps you here. You literally just type data and then you pick what kind of item you want. I specifically put the DSL for that reason, because I'm going to forget and the ID is going to remind me, which is nice. So this is done. Consume material. Okay, so this is where we need to consume the material. Player inventory. We know the item is present because this would have been this check would have been done before this. So I can just call increment quantity of the item by an amount, which is -1, because we're going to just reduce it by 1. Now, how do I get the reference to the item? It's a miscellaneous item, so I should just be able to construct a new one, and they'll be, from the code perspective, they are the same thing because the hash code and the equals is correctly implemented. So I should just be able to create a new item and something like that. Let's come back here, check can refine. If true, then go to this branch, try and refine. If this fails, then we go sorry. If it succeeds, we say all refined, see you later. If we fail to fail in this branch, which is check can refine, then the player does not have the item. So we need to say something. Sorry, you don't have the necessary items to refine your equipment. Okay, let's try that. And at the start, the player does have a silver ingot, so we should be able to refine something. There it is, the ingot. We can't refine anything because we have nothing equipped. Equip a knife, then talk. Refine, or refine, see you later. So we actually refined it. That's good. And we can even see, if you look at the top right, you'll see damage is 13, although by default, damage is 10 for knives. So the refinement process succeeded, but I have no other indicators. Also, this is weird. Attack is 2 plus 10. It's still using the knife's original damage. Do I need to unequip it? And then equip? Yeah, there's something going on with the formula to calculate the attack. Because it seems like when this changed, it also broke the calculation. That's fine, that's two separate issues. So I'll focus first on visual cues to the player that the actual the item is actually refined. That would be in weapon, dynamic text flow. This is where the view is of that text, and we're displaying. So the damage is bound, which is good, which means it will auto update, and pure damage is also bound. These are properties, JavaFX properties, so it works fine. How about we just have another text, another line that basically says the level of refinement. I can't see how, what's the, Where's the user interface stuff? Tooltip. There we go. So set node, set item, dynamic text flow. So it's that thing that gets shown to the player. Oh, so it automatically takes the description, name, that's fine. So it's doing all of these. And then we add our own stuff over here. Yeah, so it's not resetting children, it's adding to them. Which means we should just be able to add a new thing here, really. New text. Something like this, I would have thought. And I'll just copy and paste this. So slightly smaller text. Text property bind, what are we binding to? Refinement level. As string. How about that? Just level, right? That should do it. And then I need a comma here. So at least one of the issues should be fixed. So I should be able to see the level as well. By default, it's level 0, which is, I suppose, a bit weird because you don't count from 0 in games. It should say something like level 1, I guess. Or we could rename it to refinement level. That would make more sense, because by default it will be 0. Now I need to equip this. Equip that, then talk, try refine, all refined, perfect. Cool, refinement level is now 1. And then refinement level of everything else is still 0. Cool. Yep, and it doesn't change, it's kept there, the damage is updated. However, this thing needs to be figured out. Because when I equip the item, it calculates the attack, but then I'm changing the attack without letting the character know that the attack has been changed. I think then it'll be fine to complete this implementation, because we've got quite a few things done, which is good. Character component, I guess. Yeah, this is where a lot of stuff is calculated. Use item. Player component is where I equip things, I think. Yeah. So equip weapon. On equip. Right, so this is where it gets changed. When I equip a weapon, it increases my attack stat. And this is not an observable change. It only does this once when the pure damage, when I equipped it. But it should be also automatically changed if pure damage was updated. This is still in the weapon class, right? Yeah, perfect. Okay. So I should be able to listen to changes in this variable and then do something with it. I could have a listener which I attach on equip and then remove on unequip, because I don't want listeners just hanging in memory. Right, let's go private. Actually, it's not pure, well, yeah, it is pure damage. Are there any other ways of changing pure damage? I guess so. So I should really be listening to changes in this variable rather than refine. So it's damage listener. Change listener of type int. So I add the listener here. Oh, it's number. What is it trying to do? Can't I just use one of these? Observable, old value, new value. Okay, how about this? Yeah, that's the thing that I want. I want this separately. Yeah, this is a change listener. So I don't know why it doesn't like. Oh, it was destructuring it. Okay, fine. Right. But what do we need to actually do? So this is old damage, right? Old damage. So one of these two listeners needs to do something. This is a new damage. When the value has been changed, we essentially do the reverse using old damage value. Old damage to double. Oh, it's an int. Cool. And then re-add, but with the new damage. New damage to int. That should fix the calculation error. And we don't need this thing. Right, so that's the listener. I can extract it into this, store it in a variable, add the listener on equip, and remove the listener on unequip. Yep, that looks... Oh, I need access to character. How do I get that reference? Do I really need to construct this at runtime? If I do something like this, I get rid of this and make this a change listener number. And then kind of say, well, it'll be initialized later. I can do late init, but can I guarantee that it's going to be unequipped first and then unequipped later? Let's try and be on the safe side. And then pure damage, add listener, damage listener. Because by this point we'll know it's been initialized. I can I don't have to worry about nulls. Here, when unequip is being called, then damage listener, if present, then pure damage, remove listener. Yeah, something like this. In case this method gets called before this one, in which case this thing is null, which is why let is going to help us. Okay, let's try that. That should hopefully fix calculation error. Right, so equip knife, it's 10, let's see, I have attack 12, remove it, attack 2, all good. Now when I successfully refine it, my attack should go up because it will go to 13, which means 2 plus 13 is going to give us 15, which should do. Nice, it's 15, cool. Damage is 13 on the knife itself, and if I unequip it, I go back to my base attack, which is 2. This is still 10, and this is 13. Brilliant. I think this completes the implementation. Oh, let's try refining further, because we don't have the item. Hang on, I need to equip this. Because we don't have ingots anymore. Yeah, sorry, you don't have the necessary items to refine your equipment. Cool. I can try and add the item if I can remember the silver ingot ID. This is the developer menu, kind of. Misc items, silver ingot is 6503. 6503, and let's add a lot of them, like 50. Cool, I've got 50 ingots. Let's see if we can refine this to the max, which is level 5. This thing, all refined. Cool, so it's level 2 now. Level 3 now. It's going through success chances really well, actually. I might need to tweak that so that there is a reasonably decent chance of failing. Level 4, and you can see that the values are going up really quickly, because the higher your level is of refinement, the better it is in terms of damage. So it's level 5 now. I shouldn't be able to refine any further. Refine, yeah, sorry, refinement failed. I should probably say something like max refinement reached rather than refinement failed, but it will do for now. I'm more than happy with what we've got so far. I need to do the same thing for armor, because the listener is only going to work for weapons. The same thing for armor equipment. Okay, right. So this is nice. I'm going to push this to GitHub. If there is any interest in this game, feel free to create a fork and put your stuff in there as well. There's a bunch of stuff that needs to be done here. You'll see lots of to-do comments. And if you're into kind of creating new items and new lore for games, RPG type stuff, then you got your work cut out, really, because there's data, and there's lots of data that needs to be populated to turn this into a reasonably playable demo, at least. On that note, thanks for watching. I'll see you later.